Hey guys, Stealth17 here. We just took sail with the Marines in the last part, in part 4 of my Busan Pocket campaign video. And today we're going to try to take Chor 1, which is the next sector in North Korea, before we can get to Sokcho and finish this campaign. Right now my units don't have any movement points left, so I'm going to end the turn and see what the AI is going to do next. As expected, we're going to see two battles, one in Daegu and one to the south of Daegu. These guys in Daegu, this is the urban map, they only have 8 choppers filled with infantry and 4 Mi-25s. 4 logistics choppers and that's it. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of defenses against these guys at the moment. We got 3 stingers, lots of infantry, but we're not going to have anything that's coming close to the range of these Mi-25s with their rocket pods and the Mi-8s, other than our stingers, so they are going to be... Now, my plan is to capture these zones, all 3 of them, put some stingers in forests where I can, and make sure that these aircraft don't stand a chance. And meanwhile, I want to use some of these KM900 personnel carriers to push up along to Yui Chang, try to kick them out of this sector, and since they only have an Mi-2D which is unable to be hidden, I should probably be able to spot these guys. So here goes. First we're going to set up some command vehicles. Now I could capture Busan if I wanted to, but it still doesn't give me any points and it's only going to be a burden for our air defense. So I'm not going to go after this zone for now. What I am going to do is put some infantry in the form of stingers in these buildings. I want to have one of them in here, one in here, and one in here. I'm going to give up my defense of Yongdeok, which is here, so that I can have all of my air defenses situated in this sector, which gives me a much better chance to swat those annoying helicopters. Now, I'm going to use the same strategy as I did last time, which is to use a couple of Yebi guns and move them into the town and move them into Yui Chang to try to capture these zones. These guys are only 50 a point, or 50 in a piece, including their transport, so if I lose them it's not too important, since they also don't have too much firepower. But these things can still fire into the air, 875 meters, so if I swarm them I might be able to take down a couple choppers. Sending 2 groups of 4 to the north, and now I'm going to send a couple of units of 2. Actually, let's see which unit will be most effective against the aerial assault. These guys have a range of 595 against air. These have 595 as well, but this is just an M14, which is a standard battle rifle. While these are machine guns, which are much better rate of fire. Recoilless rifles cannot shoot up other than their assault rifles. Same goes for the engineers, and the stingers we already have deployed. In the support category I don't have anything that can help me. I have the recon units here. I could use these, but they're pretty expensive and pretty valuable, so if I send them north and they get destroyed, that's going to be quite a waste. Still, I want to have one of them with them to make sure that I can try to find the CV up there. In the vehicle category we only have the napalm launchers, which again are not going to be much use, so I'm not going to bring in any of these. Now, if you're fighting helicopters which have a lot of rocket pods like the Mi-8s, make sure that you space out your infantry like I have done here. If you don't and you put all of your stingers in one building, they're just going to unleash a massive barrage of rockets onto one building, wipe out your entire interior in one go, and you're left defenseless against the rest of the choppers. Okay, time to send some of these units into the town. And if I lose a couple of these guys, I don't really mind. We have plenty of points and we only need to get 500 points from them. Should be able to do that in 20 minutes. I want to put one spotter in here to make sure that the stingers actually can use their optimal range. And this is it. I got 700 points remaining, but I'm not too worried about having to use all those. So let's start the battle and see what the enemy is going to do. Unload the stingers first. Send my attack group north. And send my other group into these buildings here. We can immediately seek a couple of MI8s, and because these stingers only carry 6 missiles each, I'm going to call in some resupplies to make sure that they can keep firing. Here's a command vehicle right away. Stinger takes it out. And since the air defense or air assault isn't as bad as I thought it would be, I'm going to use these units to send the stingers further up. Now this is interesting, these choppers have completely landed, which means that we can abuse that to take them out when they're on the ground. I'm going to use my KM900s to take out these helicopters. Here we can see some more MI8s, which are airborne. So I'm sending my Yebi-guns out in 2 groups to make sure that one helicopter squad doesn't take them out all in one go. Here's another Mi-24D or Mi-2D. Unfortunately, I cannot do very much against that at this point. My first Yebi-gun squad is taking a lot of fire, but fortunately these things only carry 32 missiles each, so they cannot do too much damage. My Stinger has now arrived on the front line, and this should really help with taking out these choppers. We are dealing with elite warriors here, so it's going to be quite some losses before we manage to kick them out of this town. I'm going to call in some more resupply trucks to make sure that we can resupply the stingers. Now, they've also captured this sector to Busan. I'm going to do something about that. Send out some infantry on this flank as well. Relocate the stingers to this cover. And we're using these KM900s to suppress the enemy here. Now this is going to be a battle which I'm not going to win. I already lost 20 guys to only 2 of them, so that's how bad those militia units really are against well-experienced and elite infantry. Here's their command chopper. It's just sitting right in the open. The same brilliance the AI displays very often. Now, let's try to find these command choppers. Keep in mind that the KM900s are amphibious, so they can cross rivers like this. They don't have to use the bottleneck of the bridge. Hopefully we can find this command chopper so we can get some more points. Now this chopper doesn't even bother to take off, and it gets destroyed. Here we have a lone chopper sitting in the field, which is probably their command chopper. These MI8s are probably out of ammo. They retreated and they're heavily wounded, so these are probably the guys we attacked earlier. Now let's push into Yongdeok, try to get these guys. And unfortunately we run into some Mi-25s. So that push is halted for now. Pull out these Yebby guns because I can still use them in another battle. That is, if there's anything left by this point. And there's another chopper sitting in the field here. That means that's another command unit. And again, we also find another group of Mi-8s here, which means there's infantry nearby. Try to get these guys out of range. Pull these stingers back. Now I can call in a couple of these artillery batteries. We still have enough points to do that. And I can fire one group over here, try to take out the chopper here, and fire the other one at that unit to make sure that we can take out that command chopper. Firing. Second battery came in and the other command chopper was about there. Now we know from the earlier stats that they only have 4 of these command choppers, so that means that if we take out this one and the other one, we're going to win the battle, and they're going to be out of command choppers, so this brigade won't be able to defend or attack on their own. First group is firing, second group is firing, and I think they will be able to get this guy. There, 100 points, he's dead. Next, focus on the north. He's taking off. And the enemy has decided to retreat their forces. Now they only have 4 of these Yukwandais left. They only got 1 command chopper and they still have the 4 Mi-24s, but we managed to kick them out of the zone, so I'm happy with the result. Now Yui Chang is a bit of a different attack. They have a lot of units here on the right. They got a whole lot of infantry. All of them are low range and they come in with 20 engineers. So what we don't want to do here is try to defend with infantry, because these guys will flush them out. They have an artillery battery, they have shilkas, and they have 1 mortar carrier. Over here they also have 4 recons, a couple of recon choppers, and a whole load of vehicles, which means that it's going to be a little less safe for tanks. They got grenade launching helicopters, rocket pods on the helicopters, and F5 napalm bombers. We on the other hand have a strike squadron of F4DS. These guys only need to be aware of the shilkas and some of the infantry. Now sometimes these guys come equipped with Strelas. See, these are going to be the main threats for these guys. Strela 2, and the Strela carrier has a Strela 3 missile on top of it. Furthermore, we got a couple of tanks, 34 of them, we got helicopters, we have some vehicles, very cheap ones mostly, and we got a pretty good amount of infantry. So let's get this battle going. I want to keep this sector to Busan, and I want to keep this sector to Daegu, so I'm going to put a command tank in here, because this area is probably going to take a little more fire than the other side. Now, in case they're actually going to use those choppers of theirs, and they usually do, I'm going to put my Stinger units in 4 different buildings, over here, these buildings, and over here. And I don't have that many command or resupply vehicles, so I'm going to put 2 in these bushes and 2 behind this building to call in later. Now if I call in units, they're probably going to take this bridge or this bridge, which means that I gotta keep this area quite open. And for this I want to use some of these tow carriers. Now they're pretty expensive, or pretty cheap, 40 points only. But the moment they encounter a chopper, they're dead. So what we gotta do is put them a little further behind our lines and make sure that the choppers first encounter the Stinger missiles and then encounter the tow missiles. We also have the attack choppers, and since we got a lot of vehicles coming our way but not too many anti-air units, we're going to use a couple of these. Again, I'm going to call these out in groups of 1. I want a recon chopper up to make sure I can see whatever's coming at me, and I want to have 2 of these hardened bombers. Next, I want 1 tank on this flank, and I want to have 1 tank on this flank. Now our defense is pretty spread out, but they don't have that many units to throw at us, and we only need to score 1000 points of damage, so it's not that hard. Unload all of my units. There's a whole lot of units out there, and this is a perfect unit or a perfect target for my airstrikes. Here they come. That's a whole lot of vehicles down, and that's 400 points of units. Right now I'm just going to sit and wait what they're going to do. I do not want to run into any of those shellcas with my attack choppers. And I'd love to be able to capture these ZIL 130 supply carriers, but there's probably going to be a lot of units defending them. Now what we can see are a couple of units here. These look like more cargo trucks, and there's a UAZ here, and that's going to be the primary target, so I put a marker on that. Call in another bomber and have it ground attack on this marker. Now we got a vehicle coming in here, so I'm going to move my tank up. Here comes the airstrike, and it didn't kill the command vehicle yet. We know that there's a mortar carrier somewhere here, and I think it's right there. So the moment my planes are back in action, I'm going to use those to kill the mortar carrier. Over here we got another unit of artillery, so I'm going to put a marker on that. Our planes are almost ready for another airstrike. And here comes another group of AT-103, which means that these are going to be anti-tank units with a good range, but not as good as my tank. So I can use my tank to keep them at bay, at least for a little bit, while my planes attack them from the skies. Now they did manage to take out one of those K1s, but I'm going to score a whole lot of points again here. And now the choppers are starting to show up. So I'm going to try to rack up my points as quickly as possible before these units really have a time to react. As you can see, they found the shellcar right about there. So I'm evacing my units. And now the F5s are starting to show up. This should be an excellent target for my Stingers. And they are going after my tow launchers, so I'm going to pull these out. Do another airstrike on these ATS-103s. And we managed to squat quite a number of them. By now they only have 84 points left, so it's just going to be over real soon. Do another airstrike on the artillery battery and try to get some more of those ATSs. And that's the game. We lost 1 Stinger unit and 1 tank, while they lost a whole lot more units. So this means that we're going to be pushing them out of South Korea once again. And right now my forces are awaiting orders, so this is the time when we can start attacking. To do this, I'm going to use the 12th Marine Regiment. I'm going to push them in here, send the choppers with them, and I'm going to send the 24th Armored Battalion with them. Now, what these guys are going to be up against is some air recon convoys, so that means just unarmed choppers. A couple of anti-tank regiments, which means a whole lot of anti-tank weapons. But these are usually the low quality kind, see, Su-100s. So I'm not that worried about them. What I am worried about is these choppers, which is another aviation regiment coming in with heavy Mi-25s. These can really put some hurt on the Marines. They got an infantry regiment with some support units, and it looks like we already kicked all the infantry out of Seoul before. And finally they have an armored battalion with a couple of T-55s and Type 63s. We can use the choppers to take care of that, but I also want to send in my Phantom 2s to deal with those choppers. Now I can also call in some more units from the US Task Force. I can call in the 25th Armored Battalion, I can call in an artillery convoy, I can call in some more attack choppers, but these are only Seahawks, which I don't really ever use. And I got another Marines regiment, but they're coming in from the shore, so I gotta unload them first and then send them into Chur 1. And these guys don't really have any units that I don't already have in there. So what I am going to do is call in the Air Force in the form of the multi-role squadron, comprised of 6 FA-18-6C Hornets, and these guys can be really effective against both choppers with their missiles, and we can use them against vehicles. So these guys are going to Chur 1 as well. Okay, my forces are set up, and in the next video I'm going to carry out all these attacks, Yui Chang, Yongdaek and Chur 1. So stay tuned, look out for my next video, and I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more of my videos, please remember to subscribe. Okay, thanks for watching, and have fun playing Wargame.